Hello guys, today I've got a very interesting guest at United by Cycling. Hi Robbie. So Robbie is a bike packer from New Zealand. So I'll let him tell his story. So can you please tell us about your current journey?
So I'm riding my bike around the world. I started on June 6th, 2024. I'm trying to be the first transgender person to cycle around the world. I'm doing a Guinness World Record. So today I'm just over 19,000 kilometers out of 29,000 kilometers, and I'm cycling back to New Zealand.
Oh, cool. So what exactly is your Guinness World Record? Can you tell us more about it and how you got inspired for it?
Yeah, I was going to cycle around the world anyway. I've been planning it for a really long time because traveling from New Zealand is really far, so the best way to see all the places on a bike is to just see them all at once rather than try to figure out how to get out of New Zealand. And then I one day just thought maybe there's a Guinness World Record for this because I don't think anyone else like me has ever done it, and I looked it up and there was, and I was like, okay, I guess this record is made for me.
So how long have you been cycling, or you would call yourself a cyclist?
Started cycling when I was 22. I didn't cycle as a kid.
So can you just tell us how old you are now so that
yeah.
that's
Yeah, I'm 30. It was my birthday last week.
Oh, okay. Belated happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
So, as a transgender cyclist, how has your experience been on the road?
Usually people can't really tell on the road, but you have to think a little bit more when you're staying with people or booking places to stay, just because sometimes there is transphobia, but definitely less here. Some places, like in the United States, there's more to be worried about because it's like a more politicized there. But mostly people are very nice. And yeah, I just have to carry my medication with me.
Yes.
Like it sometimes.
So, how has your experience been in India as a bike packer and a transgender bike packer? How would you say it? Is it positive? Is it, you know?
Yeah, it's like sometimes great, sometimes just crazy. So traffic is always a thing, like you can never get away from the traffic. You're in the middle of nowhere trying to enjoy the scenery, someone will come up behind and beep on you. But mostly it's surprisingly safer here than some of the other places I've cycled because the traffic is slower. So it's not like places like when I was cycling in Georgia, the traffic is so fast that you're a bit more scared of it. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience to bikepacking in most places of the world because people are much more talkative here. So usually 5 times a day I'll have people being like, where are you from? What are you doing? Where are you going? And yeah, we were talking about this earlier. People saying, "Do you have a wife?"
Is that a very Indian question, or did you get in more places?
Mostly Indian, a little bit in Turkey, but yeah, it's definitely.
Did you also get people telling you that you should get married? Yes. Can you tell us your journey? How you went? How you started, and what is your journey to date?
Yeah, I started in Vancouver, so that's the west coast of Canada. Cycled all throughout BC, British Columbia, down into the United States to Colorado, and then back up. I was supposed to cycle to New York, but I was a bit tired of going through the American Midwest. It's very big and sparse, and there's nothing there. Okay. There's gas stations and McDonald's. And so I ended up going back up to Canada, and then I flew from Montreal to Lisbon in Portugal. From Portugal I cycled up to Glasgow in Scotland, and then I came back down from Glasgow to Berlin in Germany, and then all the way down to Turkey and Georgia. And then flew from Tbilisi to Mumbai because I couldn't really cross the Middle East, so okay. This is my only overland flight that I take in the whole trip. And then from here I'm cycling to Kolkata and flying to Australia and then finishing in New Zealand.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's one of my last
Yes.
countries.
So which is your, like, if you want to say your favorite place you've been to during this tour? I mean, as a bike packer, but your favorite place. Like, don't miss if someone's making like a list where they should visit.
Yeah, I mean, I really struggle with this one because you like places for different things. Like, I like India for the food, and I like Germany, for example, because there's a lot of people there that would like message me on Instagram and invite me to stay, and then like I like Spain for some of the scenery, and Portugal the same as well.
You're not answering my
But
question.
I know. But I think my favorite all-around one is Spain. Like Spain is really well set up for bikepacking, so it's like not too expensive. It's a little bit expensive now because it's getting popular, but the places to stay are quite cheap because you can use the pilgrim hostels if you do the Camino Santiago. So those are really cheap, and then you get food designed for pilgrims, which is kind of almost like similar to a thali system where there's like a food of the day kind of thing that you can get. And there's like lots of media out there, little apps you can get for your phone and stuff that will tell you where to go. So when people ask me what's the best place to go bikepacking, that's definitely the best place if you were to pick anywhere in the world to start, I think. Aside from the fact that the area that I cycled, you have to learn Spanish or like try to overcome not knowing Spanish. But yeah, but then it really depends. It's very personal. Like I think everyone will travel differently. So
everyone's experience is different. So what's your bike setup like now, on your your gear?
Yeah, so it's a Standard from Berlin, which is a small, they're not super small anymore, but it's a bike company in Berlin. They make a bunch of bikes, a lot of them are steel. Mine is their commuting frame. It's got a roll-off with 14 gears. The fork and frame are both steel, and yeah, lots of bags, Ortlieb waterproof bags, which obviously I don't need here, but I came through snow and floods to get here, so I had to get some waterproof bags. It's about 32 kilos.
And what are the essentials that is there with you?
Water bottles, definitely. Tools. You need more tools than a normal cyclist because your bike is just going to wear down so much more. Like 20,000 kilometers on the bike now, everything breaks. You need tubeless plugs, definitely, and snacks. I usually have a stove, but I don't need it here. Because
you have a stove?
Yeah, so I'm not using it in India, but I'm usually using a stove.
Tent, you have a tent?
Tent, yeah. And
so do you tent a lot?
Everywhere else I've tented.
Okay.
Yeah, I tented most of the first 3-4 months.
Okay.
And then a little bit less often through Europe because it was winter.
So to date, what percentage of days would you say you tented?
Probably like at least 50%.
Okay.
Yeah, in 6 months.
That's something which a lot of people who are starting to bike tour need to remember.
Yeah, and it's a good way to save money.
Yes.
But it takes a lot of practice to know where is a good camping spot, and in a lot of countries it's illegal to wild camp. So if you're going to camp in those countries, you have to be a lot more careful. You have to pay.
Oh yes. So are you collecting any souvenirs or I don't know, something like that through your journey?
Yeah, I mean there's no space to carry many things.
Yes.
Of course. Especially when you're already so heavy, but because I'm doing my Guinness World Record, one of the forms of proof that we use is you have to keep a witness book.
Okay.
And so
that's part of the rules they give you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they don't tell you exactly how to do the witness book. They say you can design your own as long as you cover the key data points, which is like the date that you were somewhere, the time, the place. Okay. And then people will sign in to say that they saw you.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of my witness signatures are either at bike shops, hotels, or people who stop me on the side of the road and start talking to me, and then I'm like, hang on. Sign my book.
Okay, yeah. So you got signs from all over, from all the cities you've been through.
Yeah,
the
so I
villages
got
and-
signatures all over the world.
And coming back to the cure experience, I wanted to ask you, what can cycling brands and cycling communities, especially, do to be more inclusive to cure communities?
Yeah, this is a good question. It's I mean, a lot of it is like just making sure that spaces are inclusive. So often just demonstrating that like you welcome people in the community, whether it's like just like making a small comment on social media or showing a small flag or something like that, that gives people the confidence that when they're going into the space they're not going to be judged. Which for me usually it's been pretty good. Like
Okay.
it's a lot of bike shops are very inclusive, which is really nice. But obviously a lot of people in the bike community are still like not really aware of the fact that inclusion is a problem, like the fact that things like the UCI still bans transgender athletes from a lot of elite cycling. So that's something that we'd love to change, and because mostly it is to do with the global political climate rather than like it's not like transgender people are out there winning races really. Like we're having to find alternative ways to enjoy the sport because we can't be in the mainstream competitive space because we're just not allowed there anymore.
So yes, thank you for visiting our store. It was
Thanks,
nice, nice meeting you, nice chatting with you. We also went on a ride together. It was fun.
We
So
did.
wish you all the best in your Guinness World Record.
Thank
and
you.
yeah, hope to see you sometime again soon.
Oh, totally. Yeah, definitely be back.